Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into a story that begins with a simple carpenter and ends with the reshaping of an entire continent. Imagine this, January 24th, 1848, a quiet morning at Sutter's Mill, deep in the foothills of California's Sierra Nevada. James Marshall, overseeing construction, spots something glittering in the American River, a tiny speck. Not just any speck, though. It was gold, and that one moment would unleash a fever unlike any the world had ever seen. Marshall immediately reported his find to John Sutter, the landowner, a Swiss immigrant with grand visions for an agricultural empire. They both understood the implications. Uncontrolled gold discovery would shatter Sutter's plans for a structured agrarian society. So they tried to keep it a secret. They swore their workers to silence, hoping to contain the spread of this explosive news. But as we know, some secrets are just too big, too world-changing to stay buried for long. The whispers began, growing louder with each passing day. The dam burst in May 1848. A merchant named Sam Brannan, a shrewd opportunist and newspaper publisher, saw his chance. He paraded through the streets of San Francisco, holding a vial of gold dust aloft, screaming, "Gold! Gold! Gold from the American River!" It was a masterstroke of marketing, a deliberate act to ignite a frenzy. San Francisco, a sleepy port town of a few hundred, instantly convulsed. Shops closed, fields were abandoned, ships lay deserted in the harbor. Everyone had one thought: get to the gold. Soon, news of the discovery reached the East Coast, then Europe, and eventually the entire globe. In 1849, the floodgates truly opened. This was the year of the 49ers, as they came to be known. Men and a few brave women from every walk of life, from every corner of the planet, dropped everything. Lawyers left their books, farmers left their plows, sailors jumped ship. They packed their meager belongings, said goodbye to their families, and set off on one of the most arduous journeys imaginable, driven by the irresistible lure of instant wealth. The overland journey was brutal. Thousands chose to trek across the vast North American continent, a perilous expedition stretching 2,000 miles. They faced scorching deserts, towering mountains, raging rivers, and hostile native tribes. Disease, starvation, and exhaustion claimed countless lives. Wagons broke down, animals perished, and dreams turned to dust long before the promised land was even sighted. Yet the hope of striking it rich pushed them forward, a relentless, desperate march towards the golden promise of California. For those who could afford it, or who lived near the coasts, the sea routes offered an alternative, though no less dangerous path. They sailed around the treacherous Cape Horn at the tip of South America, a voyage that could take 5 to 8 months. Others risked the shorter, but disease-ridden, journey across the Isthmus of Panama, where they would disembark, trek through dense jungle, and then seek another ship for the final leg to San Francisco. No matter the route, the journey itself was a colossal gamble. Upon arrival, many 49ers found a San Francisco utterly transformed. In just 2 years, its population exploded from less than 1,000 to over 25,000. The streets, once quiet, teemed with fortune seekers, merchants, and opportunists. Tents and shanties sprang up overnight, jostling against hastily constructed wooden buildings. Ships, often abandoned by their gold-seeking crews, lay rotting in the harbor, sometimes repurposed as makeshift stores or hotels. It was a chaotic, lawless, yet undeniably vibrant frontier boomtown. Life in the gold fields themselves was a harsh reality check. Forget romantic images. This was backbreaking labor. Prospectors used basic tools: pans, shovels, and picks. They waded into icy rivers, dug into muddy banks, and sifted through tons of gravel, all under the relentless California sun. Camps were rudimentary, often just collections of tents and lean-tos, with little sanitation or comfort. The work was solitary, monotonous, and rarely yielded the instant riches everyone dreamed of. Most days were spent in grueling futility. Yet, for a lucky few, the dream came true. There were indeed stories of individuals striking it rich almost instantly. Some found nuggets the size of walnuts, others stumbled upon veins of pure gold. These tales, often exaggerated, fueled the frenzy, convincing thousands more to make the perilous journey.
These instant fortunes, however rare, became the stuff of legend, inspiring hope and desperation in equal measure, perpetuating the myth that gold was just waiting to be plucked from the earth by anyone willing to dig. The sudden influx of people and demand created an economic landscape of extreme inflation. Basic necessities commanded exorbitant prices. A single egg could cost $1, a loaf of bread $8, and a simple room in San Francisco hundreds of dollars a month. Merchants, rather than miners, often made the steadiest fortunes, selling supplies at inflated prices to desperate prospectors. This wild economic environment highlighted a crucial truth. In a gold rush, the surest money is often made selling shovels, not digging for gold.
With such rapid growth and a transient population, formal government and law enforcement were initially non-existent. The gold fields were a hotbed of lawlessness, rife with theft, violence, and claim jumping. Miners often resorted to vigilance committees, informal groups that dispensed their own brand of rough justice, sometimes fair, often brutal. This period underscores the foundational challenge of building a society from scratch. Without a robust legal framework, even the most prosperous boom can quickly descend into chaos and tyranny. The California gold rush was not just an American phenomenon, it was a global migration. People arrived from Mexico, Chile, China, Europe, and Australia, transforming California into a remarkably diverse, albeit often contentious, cultural melting pot. Each group brought their own skills, traditions, and hopes. However, this diversity also sparked xenophobia and conflict. Discriminatory taxes were levied on foreign miners, and violence against Chinese and Mexican prospectors was sadly common, highlighting the dark side of rapid social upheaval. The gold rush also dramatically impacted California's existing economy. Farmers abandoned their fields, unable to resist the lure of gold. Towns emptied. Labor shortages became severe in almost every sector except mining and commerce supporting miners. This sudden shift created an economic imbalance, demonstrating how a single, powerful industry can disrupt traditional economies, pulling human capital and resources away from established sectors in search of higher, if riskier, returns. Stability often took a backseat to speculative opportunity. While predominantly a male-dominated endeavor, women played crucial, if often overlooked, roles in the gold rush. Few worked directly in mining, but many established successful businesses providing essential services, running boarding houses, laundries, restaurants, and saloons. These ventures, often less glamorous but far more stable than prospecting, frequently yielded steady profits. Their presence provided a semblance of civilization and community in an otherwise wild and masculine frontier, proving that entrepreneurship thrives in diverse forms. As the easily accessible placer gold, the flakes and nuggets found in riverbeds, began to dwindle, mining technology rapidly evolved. Simple pans gave way to more efficient devices like rockers and long toms, which could process larger quantities of gravel. Soon, these were replaced by even more elaborate sluice boxes. This technological progression underscored a fundamental economic principle. As resources become scarcer, the innovation required to extract them becomes more sophisticated and typically more capital-intensive. The era of the lone prospector was slowly giving way to industrialization.
But the greatest technological and environmental shift came with hydraulic mining. Using powerful jets of water, miners would literally blast away hillsides to expose gold-bearing gravels. While incredibly effective at extracting large quantities of gold, the environmental devastation was immense. Rivers became choked with sediment, landscapes were permanently scarred, and farmland downstream was destroyed. This practice became a focal point of early environmental battles, highlighting the immense conflict between economic gain and ecological preservation. The rise of hydraulic and hard rock mining signaled a profound economic transformation. These methods required significant capital investment for machinery, water rights, and labor. The era of the independent prospector, hoping to strike it rich with just a shovel and a pan, waned. Instead, large corporations backed by wealthy investors emerged. They bought up claims, hired workers, and brought in sophisticated equipment. The individual dream of instant wealth slowly gave way to the structured, capital-intensive reality of industrial mining. This shift led to a massive consolidation of wealth. The gold that was once theoretically accessible to anyone became concentrated in the hands of a few powerful magnates and corporations. These mining kings built immense fortunes, not always from digging gold themselves, but by financing operations, controlling water rights, or investing in the infrastructure of extraction. This pattern, where initial resource booms lead to a consolidation of wealth, is a recurring theme throughout economic history, from ancient empires to modern tech booms. The spirit of the gold rush wasn't confined to California. Just over a decade later, in 1859, a massive silver deposit, the Comstock Lode, was discovered in Nevada. This find, even richer than California's initial gold discoveries, reignited the rush mentality and poured even more wealth into the burgeoning Western economy. It cemented the region's reputation as a land of untold riches and high-stakes financial speculation, extending the period of rapid development and capital attraction for decades to come, further shaping the economic landscape. The rapid population growth fueled by the gold rush propelled California towards statehood at an astonishing pace. In 1850, just 2 years after Marshall's discovery, California became the 31st state. This incredibly swift political integration highlighted the strategic importance of the region, not just for its mineral wealth, but also for its Pacific coastline and potential for trade. It was an unprecedented acceleration of American expansion, demonstrating how economic forces can dramatically reshape political boundaries and national priorities overnight.
Beyond the gold itself, the rush catalyzed immense infrastructure development. Roads were carved through mountains, telegraph lines connected isolated camps, and eventually the Transcontinental Railroad linked California to the rest of the nation. These investments, initially driven by the need to transport gold and supplies, created a lasting economic backbone for the region. This illustrates a common pattern in economic history. Resource booms, while often chaotic, frequently leave behind crucial infrastructure that supports long-term growth and diversification. San Francisco, once a rough boomtown, evolved into a major financial and commercial hub, a gateway to the Pacific. Its banks, built on the foundations of gold fortunes, financed not only mining operations, but also agriculture, shipping, and burgeoning industries across the West. The city's economic influence extended far beyond California, becoming a critical nexus for trade with Asia and a center for capital formation. This transformation demonstrates how a resource-driven explosion can foster sophisticated financial ecosystems that outlast the initial boom. As gold mining became more industrialized and less profitable for individuals, California's economy began to diversify. The vast, fertile lands, initially ignored for gold, became the foundation for a thriving agricultural sector. Wheat, fruits, and vegetables became major exports, sustaining the growing population and generating new wealth. This shift from extractive industry to sustainable agriculture is a classic example of economic maturation, proving that even after the initial rush, underlying resources can drive enduring prosperity when properly leveraged. The California gold rush poured billions of dollars, in modern terms, into the global economy, significantly increasing the world's gold supply. This influx had profound effects, stimulating trade, accelerating industrialization, and ultimately reinforcing the global gold standard, which would dominate international finance for decades. It was a massive economic stimulus that impacted everything from currency stability to international power dynamics, showcasing how the discovery of a single precious metal can send ripples across the entire financial world. So, while the California gold rush was a story of individual dreams, incredible hardship, and the relentless pursuit of wealth, its lasting legacy is far greater. It wasn't just about gold. It was about the forging of a state, the diversification of an economy, and the expansion of a nation. It left an indelible mark on American identity, cementing the spirit of enterprise, resilience, and risk-taking. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest wealth isn't found in a pan, but in the enduring spirit of human ambition.